Welcome back. As you can see from my rapid rating down there in the corner, I did break my losing streak on chess.com. In fact, I won 2 games in a row at the end of my losing streak. I'm just going to take a look at a few important points, or what points that I think are important in these 2 games. Both games had some pretty interesting things. For example, the one in which I broke my losing streak, the game review said I had 4 great and 1 brilliant move. And I'm going to look and see if those are actually great and or brilliant. And then in the other game, I checkmated with a king move, which is pretty rare for me. I don't know about you. Hopefully you'll learn something, and hopefully I will too, which is the whole point of this channel. Let's take a look. This is the point in the game in which I made my first great move, and I'm looking around to see what else I could have played. I do not see a whole bunch here. I know that my opponent has just moved their king over. I'm thinking that's because, you know what? I know exactly why it was, because I had just moved this pawn here. I just played e5. The idea was that if they took, they would have been in check. But they didn't take, they instead moved their king over. So I thought, well, why not get rid of this pawn? If they take back, I wasn't sure what my plan was going to be at that point, but I know that our queens are facing each other across here. My queen is not defended at this point. So I thought if they took back, I would probably take here. If they took, then I would take, and I would have my bishop right there pointed at this pawn, which would kind of keep one or the other of their bishop or rook there protecting that pawn. Plus my bishop here would be pointing down there, keeping their king from moving, and so on. I could also move my rook over to an open file. So I took the pawn. It says it was a great move. Let's look at the lines. It says that's the only move that maintains my minus 1.41 advantage, was taking that pawn. So I don't know how great it is. I mean, there wasn't much else I could have done at this point. One thing I did consider, I remember, was playing a4 to kind of get a jump with these 2 pawns moving forward. But what I played was that, which turned out to be a great move. According to my list, the next one came on move 28. So I'm going to scroll down and click here. Oh, this is what I saw here, was that my opponent had gotten their rook trapped. They had brought their rook down in here. I'm not sure exactly what they were thinking. Well, I mean, yeah, what were they thinking? If the king had still been here over here, if they hadn't moved it earlier, I could have taken this with check and then picked up their rook. But what I did was I moved my queen to c6. The idea was that their rook then has nowhere to go. So I moved my queen to c6 as so, and now where can their rook go? Their rook's about to get taken. If it goes here, my bishop gets it. It goes here, my rook gets it. It goes here, my king gets it. Queen or bishop, queen, and rook. So really, or I guess they could take the bishop, and then I would get it with one of those 2 pieces here, the queen or the knight. So yeah, they got their rook trapped. But backing up, I don't know what else I could have done here. I guess I could have put the knight down there to challenge the rook, but that might have come with complications of its own. What does the lines say? The lines say, yeah, that's the only move that maintains -4, which is what the evaluation is giving me right now. Oh, you know what? Are the lines not showing over there? Watch this. Let me drag that out and move my self-analysis, move my title out of the way just a little bit. And it's actually saying knight to b6 is the best move right now. You can see that at the upper right, can't you? Okay. Knight to b6 is actually the best move right now. So the move I played that the game review counted as great wasn't actually the greatest possible move in this position. Okay, well, but I did see that. Okay, turning off the lines again. According to my list, my next great move came on move 32. And that was here, where my opponent has just checked me. When you're in check, there's only a few possibilities. One possibility is to block. One possibility is to capture the checking piece, and one possibility is to get out of check. And as we know, if you can't do any of those 3 things, then you're in checkmate. Well, here I could either move out of check or block, because I can't capture the checking piece. The reason I didn't block the check was because I saw that they would come over with their rook here and check me, and then I would probably have to move away from the defense of that rook, and they would pick it up. Now, if they did that, they're covering this whole file. So I would have to block that check, right? If I blocked here and they checked me here, and then I went to block that check so I could keep defending my rook, well, then they would take my bishop for a pawn, and I would be in all kinds of trouble. So I moved out of check. And I also thought if I moved out of check here they could still check me. So I moved out of check to D8. And that turned out to be a great move. So I'm going to turn on the lines and see, yeah, that's the only move that's not a blunder, is here. Apparently, E8 would have been my second best move. But I thought if I did that, they could still check me down this E file. They also could probably check me here. Although the engine says they would probably put their knight in there had I gone down here. I'm not sure exactly what that would have done. Oh, the knight would have been attacking the rook, and the rook would have had no safe place to go, would it? I guess it could have gone here to threaten the queen, but then this rook could have checked me. So yeah, I picked D8. That turned out to be a great move. Okay, my next one was on move 38. Here. My next move turned out to be brilliant. Okay, let's see if I can find it again, because I haven't looked at the move list. What move did I make here? They've just done something. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm probably not going to find it now. Right now I'm seeing taking this pawn, because if they take my rook and I take their rook, I'm threatening mate. And if they do something about the mate, then I can take their bishop. Was that it? Is that what I did? Nope, that's not what I did. Okay. Well, my brilliant move was moving this rook over here to C8. Let's turn on the lines. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, but that's very close. That's very close. Okay, so I don't feel so bad. I did not find a brilliant move here in my review because I forgot what I played. But rook A to C8 was brilliant. Obviously, it's threatening mate. That's what happens. But yeah, but that turns out to be almost as good. One's minus 13 and one is minus 12. That's what I found just now. So if I had played that, I still would have been okay, because I was definitely winning here. Okay, so what I played was here, and my opponent needs to play H4 to give their king an out. But instead, they took my knight, which turned out to be not very good for them. And this right here, I thought of this. What if I take that? That draws their rook forward, and then I get my other rook down there. And so that's what I did. And again, they're supposed to play H4 because it's the only way out of a very immediate mate. But instead, they took that rook. And the game review counted that as my fourth great move of the game, which I don't think was that great. Now, moving it here in the first place, was it brilliant? You be the judge. I don't think it was brilliant. In fact, as you saw, where I had my knight here taking there was just as good back here in this position. That was almost as good as moving the rook over within a point. So take it with a grain of salt, once again, when something is great or brilliant. But anyway, this is the game in which I broke my losing streak, and now I'm going to take a look at the game that came just after that. Here we are at the second game that I won in a row after breaking my losing streak. And in this game, I only had one blunder and no mistakes, according to the game review. My opponent also only had one blunder, but they had a couple of mistakes as well. Right here, after 7 moves, is where I made my only blunder of the game. And what I played was B4. And in hindsight, it's fairly obviously a blunder. I think they could just take with check, and if I took back, they could take. Or maybe not, maybe in the other order. I think if they had taken with the knight first, then that might have been just as good, because if I had tried to fork here with the check and then won their rook, they could have then done the same thing to me. And if I took back, obviously they would take back with check. So that, in hindsight, that turns out to be at least a mistake. So I'm trying to figure out what I should have done instead. Maybe play A3 in preparation for B5, possibly. Maybe E3 to kind of blunt this. But I really don't know for sure what I should have played here. I know I briefly considered this, but then they just take that. And man, my pawn structure is, I could have taken with my knight. I'm up a pawn already. Yeah, this is what the board looks like after 7 moves. This is unusual. But yeah, I guess I could have done that. What would they have done? What would they have done if I had played there? I think they might have gotten this knight out because their bishop's protecting that square. They're in preparation for castling. Now, if I had played here, their bishop's protected, and they could have further protected it by pushing a pawn, and that would have prepared to move this out. So I'm not sure. I'm going to say either E3 or A3, and let's click the lines. It was E3 or E4 or A3. Okay, I didn't even think of E4, protecting the knight, preparing to develop the bishop. Well, I guessed right, so I don't feel so bad. But that was my only blunder right here, was playing b4. Okay, my opponent's only blunder came on move 18, which I'm just going to scroll down to right here. And after all that, we're very close to even. After 18 moves, I don't know what my opponent should have played here to maintain the equality. Maybe they should have put the bishop here, offering the bishop trade. I don't know. Maybe they should have gotten a knight out to connect their rooks, or maybe here. What they played was f6, and that turns out to be a blunder, and I'm still not sure why. Oh, I see their lines. They could have played rook to c8. Okay, I see why maybe they should have played rook to c8, because I was about to come here in preparation for checking them. Rook to c8 would have prevented that. Okay, or king to f6, or knight to f6. But rook to c8 is the only one that keeps them really... Rook to c8 or king to f6 are the only ones that maintain close to equality. Knight to f6 would have been a mistake on their part. So that kind of makes me wonder if two of their three best moves are going to f6. Maybe that's what they thought. They had selected one of those and were going there, but instead they had clicked on the pawn by accident in between, and that's why they played that. That's interesting. I wonder if that was a mouse slip. Let's see, how long did they spend on that move? It says they spent 11 seconds on playing f6, and that turns out to be a blunder. And it says because I can play rook to c1. Honestly, I didn't consider that because I was already planning on playing rook to c2, but rook to c1 makes some sense. But anyway, I did play my second best move here, which was rook to c2, and came in there. But the other interesting thing about this game, besides the fact that we each only had the one blunder, was the fact that I checkmated with the king move, and I'm just going to scroll down to the end and go right here. White to move and win. I don't think... I'd have to go back and research hundreds of games, but I don't think I've ever won with a king move before. And in this case, I did. I played king to f4, which is checkmate. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, thank you for going through these videos, through these games with me. In this video, the wins obviously aren't as instructive for me as the losses, but I think it still helps to look at the places where I made a blunder. I think it has to help to look at those moves that the game review calls great or brilliant. Part of it is because when you see them, you go, oh, wow, I'm brilliant. But once you actually look at the move, you can see why it made sense, whether it was brilliant or not. And as you saw in this one, I didn't even remember what the move was that I made that was supposedly brilliant. I played the next best move in this when I was going back through the game. The idea is to keep getting better, and that's what I'm doing, looking at these games, comparing with Stockfish versus my own interpretation. But anyway, I had to brag about this one because that move right there was pretty cool. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.